It really does feel like the Championship is back when you get the Saturday, Tuesday, the Saturday, Wednesday fixtures in the Championship. The midweek fixtures are finally back in the division. This is the Championship we all know and love. So we are going to be predicting the Championship results for midweek. If you do enjoy the video, do drop a like down below. Subscribe as well if you are new around here. If you support any team in the Championship, we upload daily videos on the Championship and we talk about your teams individually pretty much every single day. So do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the content. And let's get into these midweek predictions. So we're on to the first set of games, which is the Tuesday night games. And starting off, we've got a pretty decent game here with Birmingham City versus Sheffield Wednesday. Now, obviously, me being a QPR fan, I was at the game on Saturday with QPR versus Sheffield Wednesday, and to be honest, it finished off as a 1-1 draw. Sorry I didn't do the reviews, by the way. I was just so busy this weekend I couldn't get around to it. But yeah, in the Sheffield Wednesday versus QPR game, I think it was a pretty even game overall. I think Barry Bannon absolutely ran the show, like he does every single time he comes up against QPR. He always seems to dominate the game, and Wednesday were well worthy of a point in that match. Takes them on to 5 points now this season. They are ticking along despite all of the troubles that they've got off the pitch with Chancery. The players on the pitch continue to give 100% and continue to keep battling. Up against the Birmingham City side, who, it's not been great, has it, in the last few games now. Just one goal scored in the last 5 matches altogether. Obviously, Jack Robinson getting sent off against Coventry and they're going to lose the match 3-0. It's been poor from Birmingham City lately. If there's ever an opportunity, Sheffield Wednesday at home, you'd have to say, is probably the most ideal fixture in terms of, when it gets to Wednesday, this is where it could get a little bit tough for Wednesday. I think they've done fantastic so far this season. Now, when we start to get more Saturday, Tuesday, it's going to take its toll on that Sheffield Wednesday squad. So I think that obviously plays into Birmingham's hands, of course. And I think Birmingham surely got to be bouncing back with a win here. We are going to go with Birmingham City being at home. We're going to go for a 1-0 Birmingham. Of course, for the most part of the season, they've been decent defensively. It's been more going forward, which has been the problem, evidently so, given, just the one goal scored in the last 5 games. So we're going to go for a narrow Birmingham win. I think Sheffield Wednesday will give a good account of themselves like they have done quite a lot of times this season. But I think surely Birmingham have got to be winning that game with it being at home. Now we've got Blackburn Rovers versus Swansea City. Blackburn, I do feel sorry for. Obviously, they lost 3-0 to Charlton, a horrendous result in the last match. Of course, it's always going to be difficult going away to Charlton, but you've got to be expecting better there. To lose a match 3-0 is definitely just not good enough. You've got to feel sorry for them in the fact that, they would have got 3 points against Ipswich. And then you look at the table, if they had 3 points more, they're sat on 9 points. And you say it's not been a bad start to the season, but then you look at them now, they're sat down in 20. It's just 1 point above the relegation zone early doors. It's not ideal. Obviously, it's so unlucky they didn't get that win. Up against the Swansea City side, who are currently sat in 13th in the table. Vopotnik is on absolute fire. It's worth saying. This guy is a serious player who Swansea City have on their hands. We saw him last season in kind of moments where he looked really good. He started off the season fantastically well in a 1-1 draw against Millwall. And I think Swansea will be able to go away, and I think they'll be able to get themselves a result. I'm actually going to go for a draw, though, in this match. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think a low scorer, 1 goal apiece. I think that's a pretty even game. I think it'll be a pretty close one, that one. So we are going to go for a draw in that fixture. Now on to Bristol City versus Ipswich, where, Ipswich will start off with them getting a big win against Portsmouth. They needed that. It's technically, I've seen the Ipswich fans singing, it was, it's back-to-back wins, and it was a deserved win against Portsmouth. Goals from Philly Jr.'s looked really good in recent weeks. Of course, obviously coming off the back of that hat-trick as well. And then Hurst getting himself another goal as well. So a decent win there for Ipswich. Back wins. You can cut. It is back-to-back wins at the end of the day. That game doesn't count after the 5-0 win against Sheffield United. So maybe Ipswich have started to turn a corner. You look at the table, Ipswich kind of, with that game played less, and with no real, obviously Middlesbrough started the season really well, but other than that, it's been very, very close in that kind of area of the table. You think Ipswich are not a million miles away and they could get themselves in there very soon, but it's not going to be an easy match up against Bristol City, who of course are currently sat in 4th themselves. Ipswich actually have the chance, if they win, to leapfrog Bristol City, which is absolutely crazy, to be fair. But yeah, Bristol City have made a really good start to the season overall. 0-0 draw against Preston. Preston have been really impressive so far this season. They've been solid defensively, Preston have. So it's always going to be difficult. So a draw is not a horrendous result right there. Obviously not a good result against Oxford, a real poor performance of the season so far. But I am going to back an Ipswich, where I think Ipswich will be able to kind of start getting a bit of momentum now. As I say, it's technically back-to-back wins. We are going to go for a 2-1 Ipswich win. I do think they are starting to click a little bit more after this international break than what they were certainly before the international break. Now we're on to Hull City versus Preston, where Hull, coming off the back of a poor result against Watford. Then, yeah, Watford, on the stats, they absolutely dominated the game in terms of the XG, in terms of chances created. McBurney doing really well. Hull continues his good goal scoring form and his really good start of the season. Watford turning the game around and getting themselves 3 points, which is a huge win for Watford. But for Hull City, yeah, that's a real disappointment. They need to get at least something from that game, I feel. Obviously, points-wise, currently sat on 8 points. It's not been a disastrous start, but again, 2 goals conceded again. They can't seem to keep a clean sheet Hull at all. So I do think they'll concede a goal to Preston. And Preston have been a really tricky outfit so far this season. A real tough side to play against for the vast majority of teams in the division. Just 1 loss out of the first 7 games. Not been unbelievable going forward, just 7 goals scored, but really solid defensively. I think Preston will be able to put up a decent performance here. I think they'll be able to get a couple of goals because, as I say, Hull City, I just don't back them too much defensively. So we're actually going to go for a Preston win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Preston. As I say, I think Hull, they've got a goal in them, of course, with Ollie McBurney. They've got a bit of creativity in that side, but defensively has been a clear issue so far this season. So I'm just going to go against Hull City with that in terms of their defence. Now we're on to Leicester City versus Wrexham. And Leicester, it's just all a bit meh with Leicester. Do you know what I mean? They were quite lucky in the end to get a point in the game against West Brom. Of course, Josh Madger had that fantastic chance to make it 2-0 and completely put the game beyond Leicester. But they just seem to keep grinding out and getting some kind of result. Look at the game against Oxford when they had 10 men. The game against Charlton when they, were up against it and still going to get the 1-0 win. And then against West Brom getting themselves a late goal to get a draw. Up against the Wrexham side, which to be fair, haven't been as bad of late now. They're getting a few more positive results. A 1-1 against Derby. O'Brien, he should have got sent off, let's be real, in that game against Derby. But Wrexham picking up a point in that game. Derby haven't started the season too great. Again, Wrexham, they looked they had a decent second half, struggled a bit more in the first half, in a game that looked pretty even overall, I'd have to say, in that game against Derby. But they're up against Leicester now, away from home on a Tuesday night at the King Power. I feel like Leicester will be able to get themselves a result in this game, but Wrexham always do seem to find themselves goals. So I'm actually going to go, I don't know if I can put 3 goals for Leicester. They haven't really been good enough going forward. Wrexham are not the greatest defence. We're just going to go for it. We're going to go for a high score. I think Leicester will end up winning the game, but I think it'll be Wrexham will put up a good fight, but I think Leicester will just about have that individual quality to get them through the match. Right, on to the next match now. We have got Middlesbrough versus Stoke City. It's going to be a very, very interesting game, this one. Of course, as we know, Middlesbrough have started the season fantastic. Getting themselves an equaliser in that game against Southampton with just with a bit of time left still, but quite a late-ish equaliser, battling back from going 1-0 down. Didn't create all too much. And, I don't know what McCarthy was doing for the goal. It looked like McCarthy just lost all ability to use his hands. I think it was Luke Ayling who played the ball in behind with a fantastic ball. Armstrong getting back on the score sheet for Southampton in that game, but a good point for Middlesbrough away at Southampton. Obviously they haven't started the season well, Southampton, but they're still not going to be, they're not an easy team to play against, of course, going away to St Mary's. We know Southampton's quality that they actually have in the side in terms of individual talent. So it's another decent point on the road for Middlesbrough. And coming back now onto the game against Stoke City after they've just come off the back of a 1-1 draw against Norwich. Sorba Thomas getting himself another goal in a game where, Stoke probably should have won the game. It looked like they just about edged the match, probably should have got themselves a winner. But, a 1-1 draw, as I say, Stoke probably edged that game, but as I say, they weren't exactly all too convinced in terms of Norwich. Did have a couple of good chances in there as well. But, as I say, Sorba Thomas getting himself another goal to start the season fantastically well. And this is going to be a difficult game for Stoke. There's no denying it. Away at Middlesbrough, and I actually think Middlesbrough are going to be able to keep up their momentum. We're going to go for a 2-1 Middlesbrough win. I think a late winner for Middlesbrough. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Middlesbrough will be able to get through and continue their unbelievable start to the season and their unbeaten start to the season. Sheffield United versus Southampton. Of course, Sheffield United getting themselves a massive win. They needed that result against Oxford, a 1-0 win. It really was it's obviously, you can't really say it's a must-win game this stage in the season. But, the way that it's the start of the season, you probably would say it was a must-win game, this with it being against a team that's going to be, we expect to be down at the bottom of the table at the end of the season. I mean, they didn't create all too much. O'Hare getting the goal. But Sheffield United just needed a win just to get the ball rolling. It doesn't matter how you win a match as long as you just get the result. I mean, it's still not the Sheffield United we know from last season in the slightest, but they just needed that result to get them through. And Southampton will still under pressure. I actually am going to back a Sheffield United win here. We're going to go for a 1-0 Sheffield United win. I'm going to back them for back-to-back wins. I think things have got to change at some point in terms of performance. I think they're going to put in a bit of a better performance and give the fans a little bit more confidence with that one and get them back-to-back wins. The final game on Tuesday, we have got Derby County versus Charlton. And Charlton, I mean, they've got a few wins now. Got a few wins a couple of wins in a row now for Charlton. Yeah, a couple of wins in a row. And all of a sudden, they're up in seventh place. The newly promoted side, you've got Wrexham, all that talk about Wrexham, all that talk about Birmingham. Who's the highest out of the three after the first 7 matches? It's actually Charlton. Man, fair play to them. Unbeaten now in the last 3 matches. Again, really solid defensively overall this season. They got the 3 goals, which, I mean, the main criticism of Charlton this season has been that they haven't scored enough goals. They haven't been creative enough. And they've then managed to get themselves 3 goals against Blackburn and keeping a clean sheet again. And Charlton are always going to be solid defensively. Up against Derby County now. I do think Derby are going to have to bounce back. With it being at Pride Park, I know Derby overall this season have not been good enough. They have been pretty poor. And as I say, performances haven't quite been at the level. But the results have been, a little bit better in recent weeks. I mean, as I say, performances still haven't exactly convinced me. They've not really got going at all. But I actually am going to back Derby to kickstart the season and get going with, I feel like I'm going for a lot of 1-0s, but I've just got that, I'm just getting these kind of vibes from these fixtures that I'm getting. We're going to go for a 1-0 to Derby County here. Now, this one could have a few more goals because we have actually got Coventry City involved. Of course, they've scored a lot of goals this season. Millwall versus Coventry. And, Millwall, 3 wins, 2 draws. Again, going forward, they haven't exactly been the most exciting side. Millwall is decent enough defensively, especially last season. They've still not been terrible defensively so far this season. Of course, Coventry coming off the back of a really good result against Birmingham, 3-0 win. Good to get back on track, still unbeaten so far this season, and now sat in second place. So a really, really positive start to the season for Coventry, and they have so much attacking talent going forward. Up against the Millwall side that have conceded a few goals when they have played at home. They've had a couple of poor results at home, and I just think Coventry City have got so much quality in that side going forward. I know Millwall generally are solid defensively, but I'm actually going to go for a Coventry City 2-0 win. I'm going to go for a comfortable Coventry City win in that game. Now, we've got another game that could have some more goals here with Norwich City versus West Brom. You always associate Norwich games with goals. That's what I do anyway. Maybe I'm just talking nonsense, but I always seem to think there's goals in Norwich games. And West Brom, obviously really disappointing last game to get themselves a draw. They really should have won that game. They'll be kicking themselves. They didn't end up getting the result in that match. And up against Norwich City, they have got 20 goal involvements in the 7 games. They've been pretty entertaining, coming off the back of a draw in the last match for Norwich. I actually am going to go for another draw in this game. We're actually going to go for a 2-2 draw. Will West Brom score 2? It is Norwich defensively. Norwich aren't the best defensively, so we are going to go for a 2-2 in that game. Right, Portsmouth versus Watford. Portsmouth have been a bit hit or miss this season. They haven't scored enough goals going forward, just 5 goals going forward. Coming off the back of the last match, obviously a 2-1 loss to Ipswich, 2-0 down for the majority of the game as well, and then a loss to Sheffield Wednesday. It's 2 very, very poor results, but they're up against Watford. If you've not seen the clip, obviously Watford won the last match against Hull. They released a video of the dressing room for Watford, and the players, the manager was speaking, the players were so out of it and just looked so... The dressing room looked like they just lost the match. That's how bad the dressing room was, despite the fact that they'd literally just come from behind to win a match against Hull City at home. They didn't look all too pleased about it, and I'm just not getting the best vibes from Watford. Obviously, Portsmouth, obviously coming off the back of a few tough results, but I think they'll be able to bounce back. With it being at Fratton Park, we're actually going to go... You know what? We're going to go big. We're going to go 3-0 to Portsmouth. Actually, no, let's not do that. Portsmouth haven't scored enough goals. We're going to go 2-0. 2-0 to Portsmouth. And Watford, this is the time when the manager gets sacked. Bold prediction, manager gets sacked after this loss to Portsmouth. And the final game, saving the best game for last, right? QPR versus Oxford. We're unbeaten in 4 now, obviously after winning 3 in a row, and then getting a point against Wednesday, which, we should really be winning games like that, but Wednesday is a team we can never seem to get a result against. Oxford obviously coming off the back of a tough result against Sheffield United, and they're struggling. with it being at Loftus Road, we've been pretty decent at home so far this season. We've got, I mean, remember last season we did the double over Oxford as well. I've got a vibe, I've got a feeling, I've got a positive feeling that we're going to go and bag a result here. And I reckon we're going to, I mean, how many goals have Oxford conceded a decent amount of goals, and we've scored a decent amount of goals so far this season. I feel like we're going to get a few. I feel like we're going to get, I'm going to go 3-1. We don't really keep clean sheets, just one clean sheet so far this season. We're going to go for a 3-1, keep it positive, let's hope for the best, and let's calculate the table and see how it looks at the end of the week. We've got Middlesbrough still leading the way at the top, Coventry still in second, Leicester in third, Preston in fourth, QPR in fifth, and Stoke in 6th at the end of the week for our predictions, of course. And the bottom 3 making up is still Sheffield United despite the back-to-back wins, Oxford in 23rd, and then Sheffield Wednesday in 24th. And then that's the rest of the table. So let me know what you think of that in the comment section down below. Let me know your predictions, of course, in the comment section down below. Of course, with your personal team, I'd be very interested to get your thoughts. And do drop a like as well if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe as well if you are new around here. It only takes 1 second. We do these predictions every single week as well as championship reviews at the end of the week. Obviously, as I say, I've not had as much chance to really delve into last week's fixtures because it's a quick turnaround. I've been really busy this week, so I just quite simply haven't got around to properly looking into everything ahead of the week, which is frustrating. The first week I've actually missed really in terms of that, so I apologise for that. I'll obviously be back with it in every single game week going forward. Just had a few things I just had to deal with over the course of the last few days, which, as I say, I really want to get this video up as well, obviously with it being the midweek fixtures. I want to be there for the first midweek fixture. So if you enjoyed it, drop a like down below. Please do subscribe as well if you are new around here. It only takes 1 second. It'll be very greatly appreciated. As I say, we do pretty much daily championship content as well, talking about all your teams. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, say drop a like, subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.